Stop for a second. Right now, is there something on your mind that you've already thought about 100 times? A conversation you keep replaying? A decision you can't stop second guessing? A situation you've analyzed from every possible angle and still have no peace? If yes, this video is for you. Because today, we're not going to tell you to just relax or stop worrying. That advice is useless. And deep down, you already know that. What we're going to do is go deeper. We're going to look at why your brain does this, where it really comes from, and what it's actually costing you every single day. By the end of this video, you won't just understand your overthinking. You'll see it differently, completely. Here's the first thing you need to unlearn. Overthinking is not a character flaw. It is not weakness. It is not you being dramatic or sensitive or broken. Society has done a terrible job of explaining this. We're told to think positive, to let it go, to stop worrying about things you can't control, as if it were that simple, as if you could just flip a switch. But nobody asks why the switch got stuck in the first place. Here's the truth. Overthinking is a survival response. It is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you from danger. The problem? Your brain cannot tell the difference between physical danger and emotional danger. It treats a difficult conversation the same way it treats a threat to your life. It activates the same alarm system, the same fight or flight response. So when you're lying awake at 2 a.m. replaying what someone said to you, your brain isn't torturing you for fun. It genuinely believes it is keeping you safe. That's not weakness. That's a brain that has been through something and never fully healed from it. Let's talk about the root, because overthinking doesn't appear out of nowhere. It has an origin. And for most people, that origin is buried somewhere in the past. Think back. Was there a time in your life when something blindsided you completely? A betrayal you didn't see coming? A loss that felt sudden? A moment where you trusted someone and they proved you wrong? In that moment, your brain made a silent promise to itself. Never again. And from that point on, it started working overtime, scanning every interaction for hidden meaning, looking for warning signs before they became problems, preparing for the worst so the worst could never catch you off guard again. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. It's common in people who've experienced emotional pain, instability, or unpredictability, especially early in life. If you grew up in an environment where things could shift suddenly, where you had to read the room just to feel safe, you learned to overthink as a coping mechanism. It worked then, but you're still using it now, long after the danger has passed. And that's the tragedy of overthinking. It was built to protect you, but it ends up imprisoning you. Here's where it gets dangerous. Overthinking doesn't just happen once. It runs in a loop, and that loop is incredibly hard to escape once it starts. Here's how it works. Something happens, a text that feels off, a silence that lasts too long, a comment that stings. Your brain flags it as potentially dangerous, so it starts thinking, analyzing, running scenarios. Then comes the doubt. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I misread it. But what if I didn't? So you seek reassurance. You talk to a friend, reread the message, or just keep thinking until you feel a little better. And for a moment, you do feel better. But then the thought comes back, slightly different, slightly worse, and the loop starts again. Here's what most people don't realize. Every time you go through that loop, you are reinforcing it. Neuroscience shows us that repeated thought patterns physically change the brain. They create deeper, stronger neural pathways, grooves that your mind naturally falls into. In other words, the more you overthink, the easier overthinking becomes, until it stops feeling like a problem. It just feels like who you are. But it's not who you are. It's a pattern you've been practicing, without knowing it. Now, here's something that might surprise you. The people who suffer the most from overthinking are not the weak ones. They are not the fragile ones. They are not the ones who lack strength or intelligence. They are almost always the most caring, most self-aware, most emotionally intelligent people in the room. Think about it. You overthink messages because you care about how your words land. You replay conversations because you don't want to have hurt someone without realizing it. You analyze situations from every angle because you've been hurt before, and you refuse to be caught off guard again. Overthinkers are deep feelers. They notice things others miss. They pick up on subtle shifts in tone, in energy, in behavior. They are perceptive in a way most people never will be. The problem isn't the depth of your thinking. The problem is that it has no off switch. And without an off switch, a gift becomes a burden. Perception becomes paranoia. Care becomes anxiety. Strength becomes suffering. You were never broken. You were just never taught how to use what you have. Let's be honest about something. Overthinking feels productive. It feels like you're working on the problem, like you're being responsible, careful, thorough. But here's the brutal truth. You are not solving anything. You are just suffering in advance. While you're stuck in your head replaying that conversation, the other person has already moved on. They're not thinking about what they said. They've made dinner, watched something, gone to sleep. The moment you're torturing yourself over, it passed for them hours ago. While you're postponing that decision, waiting until you feel certain, the window is closing. Opportunities don't wait for people who are still thinking. While you're preparing for every possible worst case, you are missing the actual moment, the real conversation, the real connection, the real life that is happening right now, right in front of you. This is what overthinking truly costs you. Not just peace of mind, though it takes that too. It costs you presence. It costs you joy. It costs you the version of yourself that shows up fully, openly, without fear. Every hour spent in your head is an hour stolen from your life, and you cannot get those hours back. Here's a truth that cuts deep. Overthinking is not really about thinking, it's about control. When you feel uncertain about a person, a situation, an outcome, your brain cannot tolerate that uncertainty, so it thinks and thinks and thinks some more. Not because thinking will actually give you the answer, but because thinking feels like doing something. It feels like control, but it's an illusion. No amount of analysis will guarantee how someone feels about you. No amount of replaying will change what was said. No amount of planning will eliminate every possible bad outcome. Life is uncertain. People are unpredictable. And the sooner you stop trying to think your way to certainty, the sooner your mind will finally get some rest. The real shift happens when you accept this one thing. You can handle whatever comes. You have before. You will again. Your brain doesn't need to run every simulation. It just needs to trust you. So let's talk about what actually works. 1. Name it in the moment. When the spiral starts, say it clearly, out loud or in your mind. This is overthinking. This thought is not facts. This is fear. That single act of labeling interrupts the automatic loop. It creates distance between you and the thought. 2. Give yourself a thinking window. Set a timer, 5 minutes. Think about the problem as hard as you want. When the timer goes off, you act or you let it go. You don't get to keep looping. This trains your brain that thoughts have a limit. 3. Replace analysis with action. Instead of asking, what does this mean? Ask, what can I actually do right now? Action, even small action, breaks the paralysis overthinking creates. Movement is the opposite of spiraling. 4. Stop demanding certainty. Every time you catch yourself needing to know for sure, pause. Remind yourself that certainty is not available. It never was, and you've survived uncertainty before. You can again. 5. Work on the root, not just the symptom. If your overthinking is deep, if it's been with you for years, it may be connected to past wounds that haven't healed. Therapy, journaling, or even honest self-reflection can help you identify where the fear actually started. Because when you heal the root, the symptoms begin to fade on their own. Overthinking is not your identity. It's a pattern built by a mind that was trying to keep you safe. And you can respect where it came from while choosing not to live there anymore. You've already survived everything your brain was afraid of. It's time to remind it of that. If this video spoke to you, save it, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe, because every week we go deep into the psychology of how your mind really works and how to take your power back.